Liz here from DiAlto.com with another episode of The Hot Seat. And today, this is a very special guest we have. Not that all of our guests aren't special, but Serena is extra special to my heart as she is my business partner and co-creator of the Complete Body Program. Serena is a fitness and nutrition expert based out of Brookline, Massachusetts, which I'm pretty sure is Boston. It's just...
Boston, same thing.
Got it. And... really, she's one of the smartest people I know, super gifted and talented. She's a Reiki master. And I don't know about you guys, but when I hear that anyone is a master of anything, I'm immediately compelled. So today, Serena's going to chat with us about what exactly energy healing is. Because this is a term that you hear used very broadly. Sometimes the people presenting these terms are people you personally might deem as like weirdos or woo-woo or a little out there. But it's really quite an amazing thing that a lot of us, once we discover it, we're like, holy crap, I get to know all this stuff about myself and get new control over parts of my life that I never experienced before. So Serena's going to kind of give us a crash course in what energy healing is. So Serena,
awesome.
Do you want to start with I don't want to say the 90-second overview, but maybe the 3-minute version of your story and how you came to find energy healing?
Sure. Well, first, thank you for that awesome introduction. That was very flattering. Thank you. Okay, my 3-minute introduction. Well, as you stated, I am a personal trainer here in Boston, and I pretty much started in the fitness industry right out of college, which was back in 2004. So I've been training for almost 10 years, and just through my own personal journey within my own health and working with clients, I started to see that exercise and nutrition only took people so far. Right. You know, I would work with clients, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. You set up workouts and meal plans, people get results, something happens in life, and maybe they stop seeing progress or they backtrack, and it just got me thinking, something has to be missing. And so as I was going through this phase professionally, I was going through a lot of stuff in my personal life, stumbled upon energy healing myself through Reiki, which is the form of energy healing that I've been studying for the past several years. And since then, just have totally immersed myself in my practice and in my study, have started using it with clients and saw the amazing results that I was getting with not a lot of effort, which was really cool. And now it's become a backbone of my philosophy and just how I live and function in my own life. So...
now, take us back for a second. You used the term Reiki. If you're watching and you don't know what that means, Serena will tell you.
Yeah. So Reiki originated in Japan, and it's a form of energy healing. And it's used a lot today in hospitals and hospices to help people heal from surgery and recover from injury. And it's just a great way to tap into your body's energy source. And for me, it's been probably the most powerful, alternative therapy if you look at acupuncture or massage therapy. And with Reiki, what you're basically doing is you're just kind of cleansing your energy field and reconnecting yourself to what's considered the universal life force energy, which is the life energy that's surrounded by us every day in the universe and the world. And so we're just tapping ourselves back into that, almost as if you were to plug yourself into a main outlet to get recharged. That's kind of how I like to explain Reiki in simple terms.
I love that explanation, and I remember I've actually done 2 levels of Reiki training myself, and I remember one of the best explanations when I went through level 1, someone said to me, when you bang your knee, what's your first instinct? To touch it and rub it, right? So think about it's like that healing touch of your own energy and stuff like that. So it's pretty impossible to understand, even gain a remote understanding of energy healing, which there are many forms, or even just Reiki, without kind of getting what the chakra system is. And I also want you, because you're so good at this, to explain how it kind of connects to science and how it connects to psychology, because for the people watching, I get it. Sometimes it's like, screw that stuff. I don't... this new age bullshit. So you're great at connecting those dots so people can see that it's not just this made up thing. It doesn't violate what you might believe in your spirituality or your religious practice. This is real stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I kind of had a similar experience myself. And when I was just getting into training, I really didn't know anything about the chakras or about energy. It just kind of was a natural evolution. And I was sold on Reiki after my very first session because I had gone to see a Reiki practitioner in my town, and I was coming in just super stressed out with a lot of anxiety. I was going through some crazy personal stuff, a breakup and all this life transitions, and I was having just like the worst digestion. My body was feeling like crap, and here I was, a fitness professional and a health coach, teaching other people. I felt like such a hypocrite, you know? And so soon as I walked in, I just immediately felt like a sense of calm, and I felt just really comfortable and relaxed. And after I left, I was just completely sold. That was it. I started taking training. I continued my studies, and it kind of opened up my world to our energy body, and what the chakras are is what you said. And basically, you can break down the energy system within our body into 7 main energy centers. And there are cultures and traditions that have up to like 20 of them, but we're going to just talk about the main 7, because that's kind of, if you were to open like an energy healing book or go to a yoga class or a Reiki practitioner, these are the 7 that they would refer to. And basically what happens is your energy starts at the base of your spine, at what's called your root chakra or your first chakra. And from the base of your spine, you kind of make your way up to your top of your head, called the crown chakra, or your 7th chakra.
Now, really quickly, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yes.
If you're watching, obviously we don't want to take all day on this. If you want like a specific in-depth crash course on the chakras, if you go to thecompletebodyprogram.com right now, we put together a PDF you can download. It actually describes each chakra, what it relates to, even some, diseases and glands and things that they're connected to. So for really in-depth information on that, go to thecompletebodyprogram.com and get that free download. Sorry, keep going.
No, great plug, Liz. But basically, each of the chakras correspond to an endocrine gland in our body, which is the system in our body that controls our hormones. The chakras are also connected to a certain color, a vibration, a sound frequency, a smell, which is how aromatherapy comes into play. So if you ever go to a massage therapist or a spa and they use lavender or eucalyptus, those scents are used specifically to activate certain chakras. What's really interesting, and what I find really interesting about the chakras, is that you can directly relate this to your own life and personal development. And if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and Maslow was a psychologist, and he basically stated that we work in a very fundamental way of starting from having very basic needs as human beings: shelter, love, food, water. And as we have the bottom layers in place, and he created a diagram of a pyramid, the higher up we can go through our own personal development, and what he called at the top, the very point of his pyramid, self-actualization. And so interestingly, the chakras and their meanings correlate very closely to what Maslow presented in his hierarchy, which is really cool and connects it and makes it more grounded for people to understand. It's not just like, oh, these random energy centers floating around. It's like, no, they actually have legit physiological connections, and we can relate them in very modern day terms.
I love that. And also, too, one of the things I've learned from you, as we do a lot of online workshops together throughout the course of the year, is that in ancient cultures, think back, before there were MRI machines, CAT scans, X-rays, how did, the healers and the doctors of those times figure out what was going on with people? They used the chakra system to find imbalances. And what's cool is, again, go to CompleteBodyProgram.com, download the thing, because it's amazing to see how the different chakras correlate to different diseases, actually, in the body. So one of the reasons why we even created the Complete Body program, not just to give people like a deeper, below the surface explanation of why diet and exercise might not always work, but it's also because as trainers, we would run into a lot of clients who would have these situations where they're like, I've been to every doctor, every specialist, had a million tests done, and no one can figure out what's wrong with me. And, you know, fairly often you connect it to a chakra, you see what's going on in that area of your life, and you're like, holy crap.
Mind is blown.
Mind is blown. So what are some great resources, other than our download, obviously, resources, books? Serena and I are huge nerds. If you had to pick, maybe, if someone's watching this and now they're curious, we do have some webinars coming up. If you want to join us, I'll put some links below the video. But in terms of books, what are some of your favorite resources? Maybe top 3.
Okay, so top 3 right off the bat, I think first one would probably be Carolyn Mace's Anatomy of the Spirit. And I know Liz and I, we've both loved that book. And I know that was kind of your introduction to energy healing and chakras, which it's a great resource. And basically, Carolyn was a medical intuitive, and she started working with people using these terms and philosophies, energy healing and chakras. And she really nicely explains how all of this stuff actually connects to if you have migraines or if you get diabetes or heart disease, and in a really eloquent and easy to understand way. Second book would probably be The Book of Chakra Healing by Liz Simpson, and it's just a really simple, lots of pictures, very colorful book that explains what the chakras are in detail. It gets into a little bit about crystals and meditations that you can use, different exercises, which is how kind of the fitness aspect rolls into all of this stuff. And then the third book, I'd probably have to say The Subtle Body. I don't have the authors off the top of my head, but basically it's like an encyclopedia of energy healing.
So is that like a book you'd read cover to cover, or is that more like a reference?
Yeah, it's more of a reference book. So it gets into the different forms of energy healing, not specifically Reiki or anything like that, but it's one of those like reference books. So if you wanted to go back and go, oh, what was that thing about the so-and-so? You would look in the index and find it. So it's more of a reference style.
And you know, going back to Anatomy of the Spirit, again, I know when I started getting into this and I started having conversations with people about Reiki and about energy healing, you know, some of the pushback you do get, which I already mentioned earlier, is people who are religious, they're really cautious to say, hey, you know, how does this fit in with my beliefs? And that's one of the things I loved about Anatomy of the Spirit, because Carolyn Myss connects the chakras to the 7 sacraments and to other religious beliefs and practices, so people really can see how it can be completely complementary and not negate or go against what they believe in at all. So can you give us one or two of your favorite examples of clients? You don't necessarily have to use their names, because obviously we didn't get permission to talk about them on the interview. Give me some examples of someone who you saw, just like you opened them up to this stuff and it was like, holy crap, whether it's they lost weight or transformed their life in some other way. I always love hearing about that stuff.
Yeah. So one of them, I won't say her last name, but her first name is Rachel. And she came to me as a nutrition client towards the end of last year, so 2012, almost a year ago. And she was a PhD student, and she was just struggling a little bit with her weight, was having a hard time getting her eating in check, and her stress was really high from, you know, teaching and going to school full time. And so we worked together for about 8 to 10 weeks, you know, pretty much just on her nutrition. But during that process, you know, I was able to talk very openly with her about these ideas, because you know, she had done yoga and she was really open-minded and was just really wanted to learn. And so, you know, we did some meditative work, and I really encouraged her to continue with her yoga practice and to really incorporate that into her workout and not really stress about having to go for a run or lifting weights. She just loved doing yoga. And so for her, that became really the centerpiece of her fitness portion of her program. And after we worked together, over a couple months, she probably only lost about 5 pounds, but the change in her demeanor and the way that she actually approached her day just was totally night and day. she realized after she finished her PhD, which is coming up actually this spring, she's planning on moving to San Francisco to study yoga, to become a yoga instructor, which is really cool. She recently got engaged, which is also really cool. So it just opened her up a little bit more to, I guess, express and experience life in a much deeper setting, that it's not just dieting and losing weight just to look good. It's like, okay, what else? What about how your relationships are? What about your career? What about your family? What about just being happy in life?
Yeah.
And so what I find with a lot of clients is if you can open that door for them a little bit, it's not, everything isn't so superficial anymore.
Yeah.
You get a lot deeper, and then life just becomes more meaningful.
Right. And one of the things we always say is it's working in versus just working out.
Right. Exactly. So I'd say she's probably the best example, aside from myself. You know, I struggled personally with horrible digestive issues, and it wasn't until I started incorporating these energy healing practices that my body really started to heal itself. I mean, I hate saying this, but as a fitness professional, I probably work out once or twice a week, formal workouts. I mean, I walk everywhere because I live in Boston. I walk to my clients' houses and to classes and stuff, but I don't have to be as crazy about my diet or my food anymore. And my workouts, I don't feel like I'm have to do them and have to, go for a run or get on the elliptical or lift really heavy, every day or whatever. And by tapping into that source, it's really allowed me to do a lot less, but to see a lot more results. And that's really what I find is so awesome about this style and philosophy of thinking, which is exactly what, we've talked about in the Complete Body program. And it's just opening up the possibility that, there's more to this.
It's so cool. We have a private Facebook group for the Complete Body program, and we didn't even know this until recently, that one of our girls has lost 20 pounds. We're filming this interview. It's August. I don't know when you're watching it, but has lost 20 pounds since March, and she doesn't work out. She doesn't change. She eats well. Literally the only thing she changed was being open to this stuff and practicing the working in stuff that we've been talking about. So pretty incredible what it can do for people. And it's so funny, I didn't even get a chance to show you this. Bex, who I've interviewed on here before, who I think you know, posted something on Instagram the other day. It was a quote by Sarah Silverman, and it said something along the lines of, if you don't think your mind and body are connected, why do you think you get diarrhea whenever you're nervous?
That's so true.
And I was like, well, there's a simple way to put it that a lot of people can relate to. So, Serena, thank you so much. And again, if you're watching this, we kind of scratched the surface here.
Yeah,
barely. We're kicking off the next round of the Complete Body program on September 17th. We'll be running some free webinars and workshops, which are basically information sessions, if this piqued your interest and you want to know more. So you can check us out on our Facebook pages. I'll put links below the video for everything as well. And if you're watching this way past September, we're doing it again in January of 2014. We'll be running a live event, our first live event in April, of 2014. So, this is really the kind of information that transforms an entire life. Yeah. It's not just you can lose a little bit of weight for a little while and eventually comes back a year or two later. This sparks lifestyle change, like Serena said, opens you up, changes relationships. So incredible. We've had women in our group talk about being able to have conversations with their husbands, literally say, you guys might have saved my marriage. So pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Serena, thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz.
I'm putting links to your website, Complete Body stuff, some of those other resources, the books we talked about, everything will be below the video. So if you enjoyed this hot seat, if you enjoyed learning about energy healing, finding out more about your subtle body and this different system, make sure you like the video. If you have questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get future hot seats, and we'll see you next time.